loved.
Promise me that you will look after my family.
Your family will meet you in the afterlife. Destroy everything he was.
I'm a slave. What possible difference can I make?
Now, every day he lives, they grow bolder. He will return,
Today I saw a slave become more powerful than the Emperor Rome.
and a hero will rise. Russell Crowe, Gladiator. Rated R.
So Russell Crowe plays Maximus Decimus Meridius, father to a dead son, husband to a dead wife, and he'll have his vengeance in this life or the next. And he says that because he was betrayed when Commandus, the ambitious son of Emperor Marcus Aurelius, I cannot pronounce these words. Aurelius murders his father and seizes the throne, reduced to slavery. Maximus becomes a gladiator and rises through the ranks of the arena to avenge the murder of his family and his emperor. This is based off of the story of Those About to Die, which was formerly titled The Way of the Gladiator, and was later remade into this movie, with Ridley Scott directing it, and this is being also written by John Logan, William Nicholson, and, of course, it won Best Picture that year. That became the year's Best Picture winner at the Academy Awards. I don't think it deserved Best Picture, quite honestly, but, I think there were so many other better movies nominated there. I mean, I think Castaway probably should have won Best Picture that year, honestly, the more I think about it. I think that film stands out more than this movie does, but, of course, it wasn't nominated that year, but Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon I thought was probably better. I mean, my personal opinion it was. Traffic was pretty good, too, but I'm not upset that this won Best Picture. I'm just saying, like, okay, let me put it this way. There have been so many Best Picture winners over the last 20-plus years that don't really... When I think of Best Picture at the Academy Awards, I think of the movie that defines the year as a whole. The movie that is indeed the Best Picture of the year. The film that actually was a really good movie and not just an Oscar baitish type film. Not like in a year where Green Book or Coda or The King's Speech wins Best Picture. I mean, I'm talking about really good movies that deserve to win Best Picture, like what we had last year with Everything Everywhere All at Once, or, you know, what we had the year before this with American Beauty. Like, these really good films that deserve to be considered the Best Picture of the year. This one, it's not quite King's Speech or English Patient levels of bad. I mean, far from it. I mean, I enjoy this movie. I think it is a really solid film. I think Russell Crowe is fantastic in the movie. I think the action sequences are top-notch. I think Ridley Scott directed this pretty well. I'm not going to say it's one of his best films overall, but then again, anytime you try to say something bad about Ridley Scott nowadays, people just shake it off as if you're not even talking sense anymore. But really, the last great movie Ridley Scott made was The Martian. Everything he's done since then, Alien Covenant, all the money in the world, what was The Last Duel, Napoleon, have not been good movies. I mean, I liked House of Gucci, but even House of Gucci has some ridiculously over-the-top moments that are kind of funny, but at the same time, I still like that movie, but that's probably the only decent film I've seen of his since The Martian, but The Martian, I think, is the best movie he's made in the last 10 years, but, this is a good film. It's a good epic adventure film. It's a good epic historical drama. It feels like a grand epic on the same level as something like The Ten Commandments or Spartacus or you know, Ben-Hur, all these classics from the golden age of cinema. I mean, you could definitely tell Ridley Scott put his heart and soul into this to try to make a grand epic movie, and he succeeded. He did a very good job of handling that, and I think the performances overall are great. There are a lot of great quotes from this movie. I'm not saying anything bad against the movie itself. It's a great film. Would I consider it the best movie of the year to win Best Picture? No, I'm not going to go too far. I feel like there would have been so many other better films nominated in there, but some of them didn't get nominated. Of course, the aforementioned Castaway, which I think is one of the best films that comes out this year, but that we won't get to that until later on down the year. He's trying to make a sequel to this, though, and I guess it's coming. It's coming next Thanksgiving, and I really don't think that sequel is going to be any good. I really do not. I mean, it's 24 years too late for that. Like, if you're going to do that, you got to do it a couple years after the first film came out. Not 24 years. Like, nobody is asking for a sequel to this, but it's coming. So, look forward to that next year. But regardless, this is a great film. I love this movie so much. Like, I'm talking bad about it mostly because it won Best Picture in a year where I think so many other movies deserved it, but it's not a bad movie by any means necessary. I don't really have that many complaints about the film at all. It's a great movie, a great epic film. more movies like this needed to come out around this time, and sure enough, we did. We got this, and then not but a couple years later, we got Wolfgang Petersen's Troy, which I think is a very, very good film that got very overlooked when it came out. But in the years since then, I think it has gone on to have that legacy that it should have had at that point. But this is a great film. I can't recommend this one enough. Gladiator. If you have not seen it, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth it. So, on to our next movie, and that is Kim Basinger in I Dreamed of Africa.
Been here until now. What kind of people do this? This killing must stop. I got a new woman with 2 weeks ago. I know this is a chance to find meaning in my life. As a woman fighting the odds to make a difference. It is a gift I did not expect. I dreamed of Africa. Opened everywhere, May 5th.
I think you can start to see some of the problems with this movie right from the get-go, but this is based on an autobiographical novel in which Kim Basinger plays Cookie Gallman, a divorced Italian socialite who changes her life after surviving a car crash. She marries Paolo, played by Vincent Perez, a man she does not know well, and moves with him and her young son to Kenya, where they start a ranch. She faces many problems, both physically and emotional, that will test her, and yeah, I think you can pretty much see why this doesn't work right from the get-go. What a downward for Hugh Hudson. I mean, this is the guy that directed Chariots of Fire, the Best Picture winner of 1981. And almost 20 years later, this is one of his last films. And, yeah, this is, I mean, if there was a purpose for this, if there was an idea of why she wanted to do this, she basically just says, you know what, I'm going to marry this guy I don't know, and we're going to move out to him to Kenya. Why not? Let's move out to Africa. It's just like, it really does not make a whole lot of sense why she does this. I don't know if it's explained in the book all that well, but it was not a good movie. It's a really, really dim-witted movie. Like, Gladiator won the Best Picture that year, but if a movie like this was nominated, I would automatically say it's one of those Oscar bait type movies, and it feels like it's an Oscar bait type movie. You got a director that's directed a Best Picture winner, and a film that's just going off of this idea that Kim Basinger can win another Academy Award for this after what she did with LA Confidential, and not this time. I think people were smart enough to stay away from this one. Sony, I think, was smart enough to realize that this is not going to work. They probably had this set as their big prestige awards pick in '99, and then they finally saw it. It was just like, oh God, we got to dump this out. Let's dump this out on a weekend when nobody's going to go see it. And sure enough, first weekend of the summer, this film kind of came and went. And, yeah, it's a bad movie. It's a really, really bad movie. It's a waste of great talent. And Kim Basinger, this was kind of a downward year for her, because she would be in another bad movie that we'll get to later on in the year, Bless the Child, which is also pretty bad, too. So, we'll eventually get to that one. But, I mean, you got Eva Marie Saint in here, and also a pre-James Bond Daniel Craig, so I guess that's something. Lance Reddick's in here, too. I mean, that's got to be something. Maybe? I don't know, but let's go ahead and end this off with, it's kind of like a sandwich this week. We've got 2 good movies and then a piece of shit in the middle there, but let's go to the other half of that other third of that sandwich. So let's go to the third part of that sandwich, I should say, and that is of course Michael Jordan to the max.
A story this big can only be told on the world's largest screens. An IMAX experience. Michael Jordan to the max. Up close, some heroes get even bigger.
Or some might like to call this The Last Dance before The Last Dance. I mean, The Last Dance, I think, did this much better, but, man, to see this on a big screen really would have been something special. Especially on an IMAX screen. This is basically a documentary chronicling the life of Michael Jordan, who I still consider to be the greatest basketball player of all time. Like, I'm sorry, LeBron James is a good basketball player, but nobody tops what Michael Jordan was able to do back then. And this is basically it's just focusing on the 1998 NBA playoffs, kind of like with The Last Dance, which did it better because it was more in-depth and lasted more than just one movie. And this thing only is about an hour long. and also follows other significant moments in his career. It's narrated by Lawrence Fishburne. You have a ton of different personalities in here. Phil Jackson, of course, Doug Collins, Bob Costas, Bill Murray, Ken Griffey Jr., Spike Lee, Willie Mays, Ahmad Rashad, Pat Riley. And yeah, to see this on the big screen probably would have been incredible, especially that opening, which I've seen this movie on video and then DVD, and it's great to watch, but man, if I could have seen this on the big screen, if we had an IMAX theater around here, I would have definitely gone out to see this on the big screen, because it would have been cool to really see this on that gigantic IMAX screen, especially that opening, which is really well done. It's a nice little documentary overall. It's nothing too spectacular. Like I said, it's only about an hour long, and I think The Last Dance did this so much better. But at the same time, though, it's still a really good movie, and it's great to see these moments is in a movie that was intended for a large screen experience, and it would have been cool to see it on a big screen. But as a movie on DVD and Blu-ray, it's fine for what it is. I think it definitely delivers what it promises. I wish there was a little bit more to it, but then again, that's why we had The Last Dance, which is again much better than this. But this is still good enough, even if you wish it was more. If you're a big Michael Jordan fan like I am, this is it for you. This is something that you should definitely check out. Michael Jordan to the max. Like they say, up close, some heroes get even bigger.
Feel fear. See evil. Go Cyclone. Battlefield Earth.
Stupid humans.
Rated PG-13.
So this is based off of L. Ron Hubbard's best-selling science fiction novel. L. Ron Hubbard, of course, this is the guy who founded Scientology and follows a rebellion against the alien Cyclos who have ruled Earth for 1,000 years, with John Travolta as the main Cyclo, Turl. What more can you say about this movie than, fool, while you were still learning to spell your name, I was being trained to conquer galaxies. Like, that's the basic gist of this movie, is watching John Travolta completely humiliate himself in a performance that is so bad, it's pretty good. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the worst movies ever made, maybe the worst movie John Travolta has ever made, but his performance in this, my God, it's one of the only reasons why this movie has anything of noteworthiness up to it. I mean, this is a film that could have really killed his career, and I think it did for a little bit there, but, that performance, man, is pretty amazingly bad. It's one of the most enjoyably bad movies that you could possibly see. It's a terrible movie. I don't think I need to say anything more about that, but it's one of those, it's the perfect definition of a so bad it's good movie, because you could tell they wanted this to work. They were putting in a ton of money on this movie. It was supposed to be envisioned as part of the first of a two-part movie. But that's why this only covers the first half of this film, of the story overall. But, my God, they created something that was far more enjoyable, probably not for the reasons they wanted, but it did lead to one of the most enjoyably bad movies you will ever see. It's a guilty pleasure film. It is not a good movie. It's a really lackluster story. The visuals are not that great. The acting is over the top ridiculous. So much so that I can't even say it without burping. Sorry. But that's so unprofessional of me. I'm sorry. But yeah, the acting in this movie is so over-the-top ridiculous. It's like they're in on the joke, but they really were trying to do something unique and something special. But the end result is a piece of garbage all the way through. I mean, plain and simple, man. This is just a bad movie. It's a really, really bad movie. But a good, fun, bad movie. It is the literal definition of a guilty pleasure, so bad it's good type of movie. I mean, it's a movie that's absolutely horrible. But my God, it's a ton of fun to watch how ridiculous and how stupid this movie gets. We've seen a lot of bad movies. This is one of those special cases where a bad movie like this can be one of the most fun experiences if you're in the right mood. Like, if you're drunk, or if you're just wanting to laugh at something completely ridiculous, this is the perfect movie to do it with. It's just a ridiculously stupid movie. God help me, man. This movie is a ton of fun, but not in the way they want it to be. So yeah, that's Battlefield Earth. So let's go ahead and move on to our next film, which is, I was about to say last one, but we're not even close to being done yet. Here's our next movie. It's Center Stage.
Critics are swept off their feet by Center Stage. They call it vibrant, sexy, and joyful. Exhilarating, hip and fresh, full of non-stop energy. It makes you want to get up and dance.
I couldn't take my eyes off you tonight.
She's fantastic.
Don't miss Center Stage, rated PG-13. Sneak preview Saturday, opens everywhere May 12th.
So the story of Center Stage is that you center around these various ballet dancers from various backgrounds who enroll at this American Ballet Academy in New York City and explores with the issues and difficulties in the world of professional dance and how each individual copes with the stresses. This is also the feature film debut for actresses like Amanda Scholl and, more notably, Zoe Saldana. But it's clear they're trying to make a new Fame for the 2000s, but Fame was a movie that worked because it went all the way with it. It showed you the high price of fame, the good stuff, and the bad stuff as well. This is a movie that I feel like is trying to be way too encouraging on so many different levels. Like, it doesn't want to show most of the negativity here, and really, in the end, it really does kind of hurt the movie in the end, because when they do try to show the negative side, it's nowhere near as intense as something like in Fame, or even in Saturday Night Fever, or Staying Alive, another one of those movies that's so bad it's good. Also starring John Travolta, but I digress. We're done talking about Battlefield Earth and John Travolta. We're talking about this movie here, and at times this movie really does feel like it's trying to force so many different other dance movies in here. Not just Fame, but also Dirty Dancing, and, you know, all these other different movies. But this is one of those movies that really could have been something interesting, but it just ends up kind of being a soap opera when it's all said and done. It's not exciting. It's not enjoyable. The acting is okay, but it definitely needed something more to really give it that spark that this really needed. But other than that, though, this is not a very good movie. So that's a hard pass on this one, unfortunately. So with that said, on to our next movie, and that is Norm Macdonald in Screwed.
To go to my 10 o'clock meeting like this.
Oh, no.
On May 12th, get ready, get set for three guys who are just no good at being bad. Norm Macdonald, Dave Chappelle,
My man's a cop. I was scared.
and Danny DeVito.
Way to go.
Screw, rated PG-13.
So Norm Macdonald plays a chauffeur who kidnaps his rich boss's dog to hold it for ransom, but when she accidentally gets the dog back, she thinks that it was the chauffeur who's been kidnapped. And you also have Norm Macdonald's best friend, played by Dave Chappelle, and Danny DeVito is also a character that gets involved in here. This thing did not do so well with critics when it came out in 2000. It was largely panned, but it hasn't gone on to have the major cult following that something like Dirty Work did, which I think is a far superior film, and certainly is a much better movie compared to this. But there's still a lot to really admire about this movie. This is written and directed by Scott Alexander and Larry Kwasinski, who gave us the Problem Child movies, Ed Wood, The People vs. Larry Flint, Man on the Moon. These guys have written some really great stuff and have worked on some really great stuff. And at times this movie can be very, very funny when it needs to be. You've got two really great funny talents in the leading roles, Norm Macdonald and Dave Chappelle. Plus, you got a cast that includes Danny DeVito, Elaine Stritch, Sarah Silverman, Sherman Hemsley, Daniel Benzani. This is a great cast, and there's a lot of really great fun, over-the-top moments in here that just work so well. It's a really funny movie when it needs to be. There are times when the jokes don't work all the way through, but when it does, it's pretty damn hilarious. Plus, it's Norm Macdonald, man. Norm Macdonald can usually make anything funny when he needs to. I really love this movie. I can't recommend this one enough. It's not as good as Dirty Work. It's kind of Norm Macdonald's equivalent to Chris Farley's Black Sheep. It's not as good as Tommy Boy by any means necessary, but there's still a lot of good moments in there that are really, really funny. And I say definitely check it out. If you like Dirty Work, you'll probably get a kick out of this film. So, with that said, on to our next movie, and that is Jamie Foxx in Held Up.
I've been robbed, kidnapped, shot at. I could have stayed in Chicago for this.
Are held up.
This is Pup Daddy. Puppy is rough, he is tough, and he will kick your...
Wait, buddy!
So you have Jamie Foxx and his girlfriend, played by Nia Long. They're on a road trip in the Southwest. He spent their $15,000 they set aside for a home on a vintage Studebaker, and she promptly dumps him at a convenience store and hops a ride to the airport. Soon after, Michael loses the car with a young kid, causes him out of the keys, and sooner or later the situation gets bad when a botched robbery happens, and now it's a hostage situation. I remember seeing this movie on TV in our break room back at my work a couple years ago, and I had no idea what this movie was until now. This was that movie right here, and I just remember that because I remember the convenience store. I remember seeing Jamie Foxx, and I don't remember the movie being anything good. And from the little bit that I saw from it, yeah, this wasn't a good movie. There's no trailers for this online, hardly any trailers for this online, and that's the best I could get with that kind of humor. Yeah. More than likely, this is not a very good film. And sure enough, I've not seen the whole thing in full, but from the pieces that I saw from it, it did not look convincingly good at all. And this is a waste of pretty good talent that I see here. Not just Jamie Foxx and Nia Long, but you have Rosalind Sanchez, Sarah Paulson, Jake Busey, Julie Haggerty. Some talented people in here, but just in a film that doesn't look like it had anything worthy to it. It wasn't funny from the stuff I saw. It wasn't clever. It wasn't enjoyable. It was mostly a boring bit from the film, from the stuff that I saw from it. So I can't really say if it's anything, if the rest of the movie is like that, but from the stuff I saw from it, not good at all. So that's held up. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, Julie Taymor's Hamlet with Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, Julia Stiles, Kyle MacLachlan, Liev Schreiber, Sam Shepard, Diane Venora, Bill Murray.
This above all, to thine own self be true.
Hamlet.
And here I am stupidly thinking that this is Julie Taymor. She's not even credited on here. The director of this is Michael Almereyda. I think I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah, that's my mistake for not getting that. But this is a modernized version of Hamlet, and you have here, in this version, Hamlet is a film student, and you have people like Kyle MacLachlan as Uncle Claudius, Diana Verona is Gertrude, Liev Schreiber is Laertes, Julia Stiles is Ophelia, Steve Zahn is Rosencrantz, Bill Murray is Polonius, and Sam Shepard is Hamlet's father. In this version, Claudius is king of the Denmark Corporation, having to take over the firm by killing his brother, Hamlet's father. Keeps the Shakespearean dialogue, but presents it in a modern setting with technology such as video cameras, Polaroid cameras, and surveillance bugs. For example, like the ghost of Hamlet's murdered father first appears on a closed-circuit television. Interesting idea. I don't think it worked all the way through. It's another movie that's trying to be kind of a contemporary-style Shakespearean film. We've talked about a couple of these as of late. Romeo Must Die wasn't one of them. The Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet, 10 Things I Hate About You was one of them. This is actually the third Hamlet film to come out within the course of 10 years. We had the 1991 by Mel Gibson, the 96 one by Kenneth Branagh, and now we have this one here, which again is a modernized take. And I give him credit for at least trying, but I don't think it worked all the way through. I think there was some good ideas all throughout. It's very ambitious. It has a great cast. It has some good ideas to it, but the movie itself was mostly forgettable. I mean, not really a whole lot happens in here. You don't really get invested in the characters in this than you do in some of the other adaptations of the storyline. But I give them credit for at least trying. They were trying to do something very different, and it certainly was a lot better than something like Romeo Must Die, which was not a good movie, even though that tried to do something different, but failed miserably. But I digress. That is Hamlet, so let's go ahead and move on to our next film, which is coming soon.
Bonnie Root, Tricia Bessie, Gabby Hoffman, Ryan Reynolds, Mia Farrow, Yasmin Lee, and Ashton Kutcher lead an ensemble cast in this slice of American Pie for girls.
Maybe we should pull her out?
Yeah.
Coming soon.
So this is being described as the female version of American Pie, even though this came out before American Pie did in some areas, but didn't get a wide release until a year after it came out. So you tell me how that works. But the other story here are three young women coming together in college and quickly determining that none of them have ever had an orgasm. They quickly decide that they're going to make sure she has one. The three then set out for sexual adventures. One takes on a popular, arrogant boy who is, of course, more interested in his own pleasures than hers. Waiting in the wings is a sensitive outsider who everyone immediately knows is the one who will float her boat. needless to say, this is not a very good film, despite some early film performances from people like Ryan Reynolds, and you also have Gabby Hoffman from Uncle Buck. In between Uncle Buck and her appearance on Girls Down the Road, Ashton Kutcher, who's just coming off of that 70s show. A cast that also includes Yasmin Bleeth, Ryan O'Neal, Mia Farrow, Peter Bogdanovich, Spalding Gray. Some talent all around here. Just the movie itself is kind of mediocre. And I feel like they had this sitting on a shelf for a long period of time, but since American Pie had come out, they said, screw it, let's put it out there and see if we can get some people to come see it. And, no, not really. Nobody went to go see it. It kind of came and went. So, didn't really do that well. The movie itself was not that interesting and really wasn't that funny to begin with. So, I highly doubt that this was even going to sell, even if American Pie didn't come out before this did eventually. But, yeah, not much more to say about this one. Coming soon. Not worth it.
Disney Pictures presents
We Have a Visitor.
a story of friendship, courage, and hope.
Stand together!
Dinosaur, rated PG, in theaters May 19th.
So when this came out, Dinosaur was not part of the original animated classics. It actually took almost to the end of the decade to eventually be included in the canon of the classic Disney animated movies, like in the canon with like stuff like Tarzan, Atlantis, that type of stuff. That's kind of interesting when you really think about it, because other animated movies from Disney that are not in there, like the DuckTales movie, or like the movies based off the TV shows, stuff like the Wild or the Winnie the Pooh sequels, despite the fact that 2 Winnie the Pooh movies are in that canon of the Disney animated classics. It's kind of interesting to think about it when you really add it all up. But let's talk about this movie. You follow an iguanodon named Aldar, played by D.B. Sweeney, who is a friend of the lemurs, after surviving a devastating meteor strike and moving out of their home. Along the way, they befriend and reunite with the remaining herd of dinosaurs who are being pursued by predators, such as the Taurus, while on a journey to the nesting grounds. So needless to say, Dinosaur was definitely a very ambitious project for its time. And for the most part, there is a lot to admire about it, mostly in the animation and the visual effects. They both look very spectacular, and the ability to use live-action backgrounds over these CG characters was a pretty fresh approach for the time period. It really is the best aspect about the film. Everything else is pretty bad. In fact, a lot of the problems with this movie could be added to films that are very similar to this, like Walking with Dinosaurs and The Good Dinosaur, each with some impressive visuals, but blotching this on everything else. This should be a timeless tale, but it doesn't help when you have characters using modern terms, like the lemur basically saying, what you need is a little help from the love monkey, really. And, like that's part, it was also like that in the advertisements, because you see those great trailers that I just showed you first, but then you got trailers like this.
Hello? Anybody in there?
Coming to theaters May 19th.
What's the worst he can do?
Okay, what's the second worst thing?
Here's your girlfriend.
Watch it. That, children, is a Jerkosaurus.
What you need is a little help from the love monkey.
Dinosaur, rated PG. Only in theaters May 19th.
I mean, you can't tell me that any dinosaur would have said that back then. Actually, no dinosaurs would have said anything. That's because, dinosaurs don't talk. I mean, yeah, in kids' movies like The Land Before Time, they can get away with it, but you know what you don't do? Give prehistoric creatures modern-day phrases to say unless you have something funny to work with it. And it doesn't help that the dinosaurs talk, but they got some pretty recognizable voices here. Like Ossie Davis, Alfred Woodard, Juliana Margulies, D.B. Sweeney. It's Disney's laziest attempt to get some recognizable voice actors for this movie. Fox did the same thing with Walking with Dinosaurs, when they got Carl Urban, Justin Long, and John Leguizamo. This should have been something on the level of Fantasia. In fact, Fantasia did a segment pretty much like this, where the animals don't talk and the music and the atmosphere and the animation tell the story. Here, it doesn't do that. The story is your typical cliched story. It's the story of Moses again. You've got a leader who's shy but determined. You've got the female love interest. You got the selfish leader. You got the lovable comedic sidekicks. You get the cliched characters that a cliched story like this would have. And you have a story about how dinosaurs try to survive this incredible meteor attack as well as the outside world, and they ruin it by throwing these modern-day bits of dialogue and these cliched, unmemorable characters. On a technical standpoint, it's a good movie, but everything else about the movie is just a real mess. The story, the lame, boring characters. I guess for a rental or a one-time watch on Disney Plus, it's fine, but this is one you might want to skip out on. I didn't go to see it when it came out. And it took me a while to actually see it, but I'm kind of glad I waited, because if I had seen this back then, I probably would have been disappointed with the end result. But even then, I'm still very disappointed with the end result as it is right now. So yeah, that is Dinosaurs. So let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Road Trip.
See a movie? Road Trip. It's got swearing in it. It's got nudity in it. Touch my chest. I mean, I like that stuff, you know. Don't touch her. It's a good idea. I like you.
This summer, they're already on the road.
What was that? Did you kill a cheetah?
But you gotta wait till May 19th.
Wait a minute, there's a sneak preview this Friday night.
Awesome.
Road Trip, rated R.
We're all gonna see it sooner or later.
Get the sneak preview this Friday night.
So the story of Road Trip is that you have 4 college friends played by Breckin Meyer, Sean William Scott, Paula Costanzo, and DJ Qualls, who go on this adventure to retrieve an illicit tape mistakenly mailed to the girlfriend of Breckin Meyer's character. That girlfriend is played by Rachel Blanchard, and the woman that he spends the night with making the tape is Amy Smart. Tom Green's also in here. Fred Ward is also in here as well. This is the directorial debut, the feature directorial debut for Todd Phillips, who actually made a documentary prior to this, but this is actually the first film that kind of put him on the map, and it was a big hit too. It was a large hit at the box office, and it was definitely following in the footsteps of American Pie, and it's a movie that I remember watching a lot growing up, and I thought it was a funny movie, and I still think it's a funny movie even after all these years later. Doesn't have quite the same laughs that American Pie does, but Todd Phillips and Scott Armstrong really were very good at making these movies that really should not work as well as they do. They made it some really great stuff. I mean, Todd Phillips overall has been a really solid director. The more I look at his filmography, he did this, he did Old School, he did Starsky and Hutch, he did a very underrated School for Scoundrels. First Hangover is a great movie. There was that lull between that and the other Hangover movies, along with Due Date. Joker was pretty good. I mean, he's been a pretty solid director overall. Not everything he's done has been great, but they have all been very solid. Most of them have been very solid films, and I think this is one of those ones that is definitely a very solid film. It's a very funny comedy. You do like the camaraderie between the 4 guys. You like the adventures they go on here. There's really great funny lines in here. I love Fred Ward has a really great line in this movie where he and his wife are at this restaurant, and he gets upset at the waiter, and he's just like, "We've been coming in here for 23 years," and the waiter's just like, "We've only been open for 4 years. We've only been open for 4 years, sir," or something like that. But it's just hilarious, and that's clearly something somebody would do to try to over exaggerate anything. Hell, I would do that if I was mad at somebody. Be like, "We've been coming in here for 23 years. We've only been open for 4 years, sir." It's really funny stuff. There's a lot about it that I think makes me laugh a lot. It's a really enjoyable film. It has a lot of flaws to it, but it is still a fun film overall. I enjoyed it a lot. And, yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot. Road Trip, fun movie overall. So, with that said, on to our last film, Woody Allen's latest film, Small Time Crooks.
Agree. Small Time Crooks has big time laughs.
Are you gonna make us rich? Grab a bank?
How'd you know that? And King Charlotte raves, I went bananas over this smart sleeper. So take the money and run to see Small Time Crooks. Rated PG. Starts this Friday.
And in this one, Woody Allen plays a dishwasher and a small-fry criminal who hits on a plan with his partners in crime to reopen a local pizza place and dig through the bank down the street. As his wife can't cook pizza but does great cookies, that's what they decide to sell. With the no-hope tunnelers getting lost underground, the cookie operation really takes off, and the team finds themselves as rich business people, but the other local money isn't quite ready to accept them. Along with Woody Allen, you have Tracy Ullman, Elaine May, Elaine Stritch, Hugh Grant, Michael Rappaport, John Lovitz is in here as well. Really solid cast overall here. This was actually a big hit for Woody Allen, who was coming on several different bombs at the box office, and some of those films were good, but some of them not so much. And this was the first of several different movies that he made with DreamWorks overall. Again, some of them were good, some of them not so much, but this is a solidly entertaining movie. It's not one of Woody Allen's best films, but it delivers what we like about Woody Allen. Like what works with Woody Allen's style, what gives this movie a unique edge to it. It's definitely in here, and I think there is a lot to really appreciate here. You can tell that the film took a lot of inspiration from classic 40s screwball comedies, mixed in with a lot of Ingmar Bergman stuff, and it definitely shows on screen. I think the casting overall is really enjoyable. The writing overall is top-notch. The comedy overall is very good. I liked it a lot, so I definitely recommend it.
agent located?
Ethan, we've got a problem.
On May 24th,
You gotta be kidding.
summer begins
I don't think I can do it.
This is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. With the impossible. It's Mission Impossible. Paramount Pictures presents
Bring him me.
Having fun?
Tom Cruise. Mission Impossible 2, rated PG-13, starts Wednesday, May 24th.
So Mission Impossible 2 is, of course, the sequel to Mission Impossible, the one directed by Brian De Palma. And you can definitely tell the differences between this movie and that movie, and which movie ended up being better in the long run. But I digress. The story in this time around is that Ethan Hunt is recruited by the Impossible Missions Force, IMF, to find and destroy a dangerous biological weapon called Chimera from a rogue IMF agent named Sean Ambrose, who's played by Dougray Scott with the help of his new girlfriend, played by Tandy Newton. And talk about a major step down in quality compared to the last movie. I mean, I swear, if you took out the Mission Impossible theme song and Anthony Hopkins reciting the famous line from the series in the trailer for this, you wouldn't swear that this wasn't actually a Mission Impossible movie. I mean, you can't even tell what the hell is going on in here. They took Mission Impossible and turned it into the most generic and bland action movie of all time while trying to make it edgy and cool and hip to the kids in the 2000s. And they failed miserably at it. Yeah, the action sequences can be awesome at times, but you know, I always say visuals don't make the movie, and this is one where that definitely sticks up here. The script for this is just a mess. The cast is just stock, generic action characters. Even Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt is basically our carbon copy version of his former self. I mean, Tandy Newton is there to just be the damsel in distress. Dougray Scott is your generic action bad guy, and it's just a poorly written movie on so many different levels. And this is a movie that almost killed John Woo's career. I mean, he was kept out of the editing room during post-production so much for this film that it was actually re-edited by the studio, and it literally ruined Woo's reputation as a Hollywood action director after breaking out with Face Off a couple years ago, and he had to go back to doing Hong Kong action films for a number of years. But I mean, slowly but surely he's coming back. But you know, it's bad when even What's New Scooby-Doo is parroting this. There's an episode of that show where you have a John Woo-like director who's forced to direct a terrible script and make it after he made an international hit and try to get out of it. He essentially becomes a villain trying to sabotage his own project to get out of it. And if What's New Scooby-Doo is making fun of your mistakes, directing something horrible, you know you've messed up. I mean, this is a film that is just as generic and as bad as a Hollywood overbloated sequel as you can get. It's the Lost World Jurassic Park of this franchise. Nothing about it works. It's a badly written film. It's a generic action mess. And it would take a good 6 years for this franchise to find some relevancy again. And you could thank J.J. Abrams for that, but we'll get to that when we get to 2006. But not much more to say about that one. Mission Impossible 2 is a bad, bad movie. So with that said, on to our last film, and that is Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson in the comedy Shanghai Noon.
Who are you? I'm Imperial Guard from the Forbidden City.
A princess has been kidnapped. To get her back, they sent an army of one.
My name's John Wayne.
John Wayne? That's a terrible cowboy name.
Jackie Chan. Shanghai Noon.
Stay.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, May 26th.
Gotta love how Owen Wilson's not even marketed in the trailers for this, even though he's the second big star in the movie behind, obviously, Jackie Chan. But you have Jackie Chan playing Chan Wang. Of course, John Wayne. It's a 19th century Western, so it makes sense. He's a clumsy Imperial Guard to the Emperor of China, and when Princess Pei Pei, played by Lucy Liu, which these names are very childish the more I think about it, is kidnapped from the Forbidden City, Wang feels personally responsible and insists on joining the guards sent to rescue the princess, who has been whisked away to the United States. In Nevada and hot on the trail of kidnappers, Wang is separated from the group and soon finds himself an unlikely partner with Roy O'Bannon, played by Owen Wilson, a small-time robber with delusions of grandeur. Together, the two force onto one misadventure after another. And to be quite honest, when I saw this movie back then, I don't remember being too much of a fan of it. Like, I bought the movies that is pre-owned from Blockbuster, both Shanghai Noon and its sequel Shanghai Nights, and I don't remember too much about them per se. I didn't remember if I liked them all that much or what, but yeah, it took me a long time for me to come back to these movies and see if there was anything there that I was missing the first time around. I found it on Blu-ray for a reasonably low price at Walmart this year, so I decided, you know what, check them out again, see if they hold up, see if they're actually better than before. And it's kind of about what I thought about it the first time. It's not a bad movie per se. I think Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson work fine here. I wish the comedy was a little bit better, but the action sequences are a ton of fun to watch. Lucy Liu is a pretty interesting character. They actually give her something to do here besides being a typical damsel in distress, but she actually manages to do some action stuff in here, which actually works to the film's favor. Like I said, the comedy overall is okay, but it's nothing too spectacular or anything too groundbreaking overall. I just kind of wish it was a little bit more funnier. Like, I really wanted to see more from this, because there were elements that you could see are definitely working, but not enough for me to say that this is something that I definitely would see a lot more value of, even after all these years later. But as it is right now, it's just a film I'm just kind of like, it's fine. It's nothing too spectacular, nothing too great, but it's not a bad movie either. I mean, I've seen far worse movies that are in this buddy cop film genre, but this is just okay for what it is. It's perfectly salvageable. I think you can watch and have a good time with it, but it's not one you're going to want to watch on repeat multiple times, honestly. So, just my thoughts on that one. So that's Shanghai Noon.